in the interest of being prompt, we'll go ahead and kick it off. Again, welcome to you that have joined and are continuing to join right now to this next installment in the DirectScale webinar series. Super excited about the topic we're going to be reviewing today with our guest. This conversation that we're going to have around social commerce and direct sales, and it being the best digital practice for improving distributor sales, I think is something that all of our clients are interested in, I know, and we're excited about the new prospects and other clients that might be joining us from our guest side, from the PromoRepublic side. It is timely, and our goal here today is that we really believe that this conversation that we'll have and the data that we'll share will really help you to focus your social commerce strategy. I'm sure you have one, but hopefully the thinking and the review that we do today, the conversation that we have, will help to really hone in your social commerce strategy and the conversations you have about it. So I'm really excited about my guest today. This is Raquel Sims. She is currently head of customer success at PromoRepublic, which you'll find in the DirectScale marketplace, by the way. Raquel is half Finnish and half American and currently lives in London. Her life seems really exciting to me. She has an interesting background. I was asking her about a few additional things that we could learn about her. And she started her career out in government. She's worked in the US State Department and the White House. I'm sure she has some great stories, but we haven't gotten into any of those yet. She did that until she realized that government wasn't for her and decided to make the move to technology. I think it was a great choice, Raquel. I'm glad you did it, and excited to have you here. So she moved to Helsinki on a bit of a whim and found PromoRepublic by chance, and the rest is history. She is a customer success and business development leader with a passion for customer experience and innovation across SaaS and enterprise organizations. And PromoRepublic is actually in Helsinki, London, New York, and Washington, DC. And for those of you who might be here for the first time, my name's Rodger Smith. I'm CEO of DirectScale and have done a lot of work in this industry. Over the years, I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to consult with many of the companies that you would probably know in the space in trying to help them to do a better job of running, knowing, and growing their businesses. And that's what we're up to at DirectScale. We founded the company in order to really help to move the whole industry forward in meaningful ways and enable it with technology. So thank you so much for being here. We're excited about it. Today, we are going to hit several really cool topics. And again, I think the content is really good. Oh, for those of you that, before we get into this, if as we go through you have questions, please just post them in the Q&A or in the chat. And we will have an opportunity, I think, to take some questions. And so we'll do that at the end. So get your questions going in the chat so we can hit those when the time comes. So we're going to talk about digital transformation as a permanent feature in your business, social selling as a daily habit, social commerce as new buying experience, and opportunities and benefits for social commerce in the coming year. We also are going to hit 5 tips and tricks for effective social commerce that kind of actually bridge both corporate and individual rep or independent seller or influencer. And again, we've got some good content to get to. So moving right into it, let's just jump in. Raquel, are you good to go?
Absolutely, let's go.
All right. So, excuse me, it was Raquel who was going to have the issues, but now all of a sudden my voice is a little.
I know, I had to throw a lozenge, so I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Giving you one.
So we wanted to start out talking about digital transformation in direct selling companies, and the fact that if it's not a high priority for you, you really need to be considering that, because the industry really is going there. 84% of companies consider it significant or mission critical. The other percentage just doesn't realize that it is. Like, this is something that you have to be focused on and have to be considering. Historically, direct selling companies, I think, have lagged a little bit on their technology spend and digital transformation spend. The larger companies, that's not true of them. They're all going there. I've had many conversations with executives at large companies over the years, and they're so focused here. But it's really happening now across the board that it's becoming more and more of a priority. The majority of direct selling companies are increasing their technology budget. 67% have increased their tech budget for 2021 compared to previous years. I'm sure that's going to continue. So digital transformation, what is it? It really is all about meeting customers where they are. Consumers are increasingly comfortable buying products and services online, and distributors are increasingly comfortable running their businesses from the palm of their hand. And this isn't going to change. That you should have no expectation that that's going to change. Raquel and I were just talking about how even our businesses, we've embraced remote culture. It's just kind of the new way of being and providing, lifestyle, quality of work-life balance. It's helpful for that. So that's one of the things I love about this whole notion of meeting customers where they are. So, for direct selling, there's probably never been a greater moment in time. Direct selling has proven to be, it's been resilient in the past, and that's going to need to continue as we try to reinvent ourselves. New technologies in digital commerce, coupled with the industry's in-person capabilities, create real opportunity for our channel to continue to grow and, in fact, become even more relevant, I believe. So we have an opportunity to differentiate on that people side in pretty unique ways today and bring direct selling into the future. So I think, again, direct selling is well positioned, probably better than any other channel, to be at the forefront of a new world culture of home-based opportunity, social influencing, micro-entrepreneurship, and the gig economy, all focused on creating the best experience for their customers. For direct selling companies, the digital transformation is no longer a temporary initiative. It's just got to be part of our ongoing way of life. It's got to be a permanent feature. Raquel, why don't you click that next one and take us there?
The same thing can be said almost verbatim when we talk about social media. The digital transformation happened almost instantaneously in March of 2020, when everyone who was formerly knee to knee and meeting people and shaking hands, we were all thinking, okay, what's the next way we're going to connect? And social media is the number one way that's going to happen from now on. Because if you're not on social, you're leaving opportunities to be had. In 2022, social media will become a daily habit for most of us. Because if we really think about it, Facebook has over 2.8 billion monthly active users, which is a little bit intimidating to think about, billion with a B. And these are active, so they're using it, they're searching, they're making connections with friends, they're buying products. It's become an all-in-one ecosystem where you can connect with friends and family, prospects, or you can share your personal story and be authentic on social. And this is really important because almost all, we say 93% of companies are encouraging their direct sellers, their representatives or influencers to focus on building these relationships on social media. And so today we're going to talk about what that means and how that translates to this social selling component. And you can see the key trends that have evolved from the robust social media platforms here. Social selling is talking about the pitching component, so to speak, of sales. You're creating conversations about your product, your service, or your habits, which organically can produce the sales type of conversations. According to the Direct Selling Association, 89% of direct sellers are using social media, while 46% of Americans would welcome contacts from a direct seller regarding business opportunities or products on social. So you can see that the demand is there. And what I think our industry is unique in, we have to be authentic, our raw selves, and also focus on being compliant.
Raquel, that's a great point. I want to just hit that. I think that
Yeah.
that stat of 46% of Americans would welcome contact from direct sellers regarding business opportunities on social media. I think that that's a really cool stat. And I think that there's probably a lot of people who would maybe not believe it. Like just kind of some of the stuff that you hear, some of the bad rap that social sellers and or network marketers get. So that's really an encouraging stat. I wanted to just point it out there as you're digging into the demand for authenticity and the need for compliance.
Absolutely. And I do think, given the nature of the business, compliance is one of the things that we need as a backbone here. Consumers, when they're on social, they expect to get a clear sense of who or what the business that they're representing stands for. So corporate social media is increasingly accessible now, even if you look two years ago. And that's not only the same at the corporate level, but at the representative and influencer level. Brands are engaging in ongoing dialogues with their customers. And at the same time, the representatives are engaging and sharing their stories as well. Social media is unlike any other marketing communication, which is subject to the same regulations, and in fact have to police it a little bit differently because these are individual people representing your organization. So compliance comes in here to be one of the greatest challenges for direct selling companies to ensure all reps are complying here. But it's one of those that through technology, you can absolutely tackle this. And I do see we already have a question regarding that and how you can handle that. So we'll circle back to this towards the end. But another trend of social selling is the different types of content we have here. It's all about bite-sized visual content, and video is increasing in the market share on social. It's all about shorter attention spans are resulting in the shorter content. The average time someone spends on scrolling through the feed and actually capturing their attention on your post is less than 1 second. We call this like the goldfish effect, where they're just kind of scrolling through. So if your post, your video, your whatever you're sharing is not captivating that first view, that's what we have to, get their attention for. So that's why we're moving to bite-sized content and moving to video content specifically. For marketers, this short form video, we're calling it, is one way to reach consumers in an attention deficit economy. We do see 20 seconds be what is considered nowadays long form, when if you think about it, 20 seconds, that's a Super Bowl commercial. So that might not seem so long, but it really is, because mobile users consume about 1 minute of video per month, which shows you that it's all about these micro attention seeking content that we need to get. And one of the biggest influencers, and perhaps where we see the industry going, is the micro influencer economy and the importance of this. This is scaling because the direct sellers are creating conversations and relationships with each other. They're not pitching sales at all. That's why it's social selling. They're creating personal brands and personal content that actually connects to one another and to the people and community that's potentially interested in joining them or buying the product. The idea.
Raquel, I think that that's one of the reasons why I think that our industry is poised to actually become more relevant, because as we have kind of this attention deficit issue, and if I'm scrolling through things, I'm actually much more likely to stop and consider what someone has put out there that I have that relationship with. If I'm just looking at pure influencer or just pure ads, that's not going to get me there, right? So in direct selling, building those relationships is critical, and that is where the power and relevance, I think, really is going to come from in going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And I work in social media and I scroll through the ads. I don't even pay attention to them. I want to learn from people that I follow, because you're following them for a reason. You bought into their messaging. So you're absolutely correct. And that ties directly into the last trend here, which is all about user-generated content. The growth of the social media networks, all of them, have forced brands to become more and more creative with how they're advertising, how they're sharing the product. And user-generated content is the fastest and easiest way to do so. And this is, again, why our industry is really unique, because if you're sharing your story, you're sharing, what your team members are doing, you're sharing user-generated content, whether you actually know it or not. So this is a really easy way to grow your overall social media presence and to take this as we go. And you can see that this is not going anywhere. The digital transformation and the social selling piece is getting bigger and bigger as we go. And you can see this with 2020 and how that really changed within the pandemic. The online sales surged about 40% because everyone went like this and they were shopping online. They were finding new ways to get things. That's why we saw massive growths on your maybe grocery shopping online. You're picking up your prescription online, and now you're buying from your peers online on social media specifically. You can see that the e-commerce industry is on track for its first trillion year by 2022. So that is next year. That's crazy to even think about. So yeah,
it is, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for us, right? It's good for the industry that we're in. It's good for our clients. So helping them be relevant and maintaining momentum and getting momentum in this new market is why one of the reasons we're here.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And we can see this. Adobe actually did a study on, this was the pivotal moment that actually kind of shook the economy into the equivalent of a 20% boost of online spending. And this has continued even though, we have resumed somewhat normality no matter where we are. So this is really interesting to see how this will continue to grow specifically within the direct selling space because of the trends that we're seeing here on the e-commerce area.
Right on. Well, so, let me take a little pass at kind of reviewing some of the trends that we're seeing in e-commerce in general. There's so much to talk about here, but just to hit a couple of these, we've already mentioned the fact that consumers are increasingly comfortable buying products and services online, and distributors are, more comfortable and actually even want to be able to run their business from their phones, and that's not going to change. So, some of the things that are kind of just givens, we are at a point today where we know that customers expect a clean, frictionless shopping experience, but what else should we be thinking about? Because it's more than just that. So one of the trends that we're seeing is this buy anywhere conversation. So we've already talked a little bit about meeting customers where they are, but making it easier to transact and reducing friction on buying decisions will continue to be an area of focus and innovation, I think. So, we obviously have, links to my store. I could maybe share a cart that I built for you. Those are just some of the ways where the buy anywhere scenario is playing out and making it easy for people to transact with us. And I think that we'll see more of that happening. And we're working on things right now where we're trying to make it easier for reps to share and engage with their prospective customers or prospective team members. And I think we'll see a lot of things there. We'll be launching some things even this year together with our e-commerce partners to do that. And PromoRepublic could be part of that whole story, but we can get into that a little bit later. But one of the things that we're seeing is the notion of direct transactions. So like, for example, what if the customer didn't even need to send you a cart or a link, but could just maybe text message you the product info or message you on social media, and then you just do that interaction and that purchase right there, just via that same mechanism. That's where we're headed from a technology standpoint. And that trend is exciting. So kind of along the lines of this buy anywhere trends continued, most of us have used voice-enabled gadgets. It's no wonder why voice search AIs like Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant are tapping into it. I was kind of blown away by this stat. They estimate the voice assistant speaker market to reach around $4 billion in 2022, with voice shoppers expected to increase by 55% and voice shopping hitting 40 billion in 2022. So that's, I mean, it's a small piece of a $1 trillion industry, but it's something that we need to be thinking about and considering. And how could we do that? How could we leverage that? You know, for this industry, the word of mouth channel, making it easier to become an affiliate and providing better rewards for affiliates and influencers is also key. And we'll get into that a little bit later. And there's other trends on here, but that's all we're gonna have time for to get to today. So let's go ahead and go next.
Absolutely. And I think that lays the perfect pretext to what this means in terms of putting two and two together. On the one hand, you have e-commerce, which you just highlighted, Rodger, which is that actual shopping experience on a website or dedicated mobile app. On the other, you have the social selling, which is that relationship cultivating on social where you're building your field and you're nurturing those relationships. And it's not a physical online store. It's that, you know, basically building and sharing your personal brand and your story and influencing and guiding. And then as a result, you have social commerce, which is not specifically e-commerce, not specifically social selling. More so it's allowing the customer to make the purchasing decision within their entire social media journey. And this social commerce is what companies are investing in. This is where direct selling organizations are moving to, because this is now the playing field where you are, to borrow Rodger's phrase, meeting the customers where they are. So this is really an exciting topic to explore today.
Agreed. I think we'd like to hear more from you on this one.
Absolutely. And you can see that brands right now are investing into this. The number of social commerce buyers in the US has increased 25% year over year. So right now it's at 8 million, and we're forecasting this number to exceed over 100 million by 2023. So this is quite substantial. So as you can see, this is projected to grow and grow and grow. So that's why we want companies to think about this now and give their representatives or their influencers the tools and the education to be successful on this, because the digitization is happening regardless of, you know, where we are right now.
So why don't you just continue kind of on that topic and point out some of the key benefits that social commerce can be for our guest companies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a number of benefits, but I think we have 4 off the top of the head that are really important. I think the first is that you're increasing engagement with your audience. And this is one of the most valuable benefits that you're seeing on social commerce, because it's all about strengthening your brand and that connection with the audience, which leads to brand loyalty and buying again. So with potential clients scrolling through products and services, you can really comment and make recommendations and have this conversation with them. The second is actually something that everyone is looking to, which is to shorten that sales cycle and conversion time. So most purchase journeys have too many steps in the funnel, but social media is moving to encompass all of that in one. So by having that social media platform or social media influencer be your point of reference, that shortens the cycle and increases the likelihood of customers and potential customers converting. The third is expanding your audience and reach. So this is frankly where millennials and Gen Z likes to shop with social commerce. You can sell to larger audiences. And the last is data and getting insights and really understanding who your audience is. Social commerce really simplifies your efforts and enables you to measure them and gain really useful business insights. In the simplest form, you can go to the social media apps themselves and understand who your followers are. And that can help you change how you are pitching, soft pitch to them, your style. So I think all of these are really important benefits that we want to weigh, because as it says right on the screen, 81% of shoppers are researching products on Instagram or Facebook. So it's really important to make sure you have that top of mind. And I know I'm guilty of doing that. I always look at something on social media before I actually make that purchasing choice. Whether that's even something as simple as eating at a restaurant, I'm Instagramming it first and want to see what the menu is. So
Yeah,
really
no,
important.
it's so true. And I think that we're all seeing these trends. We're talking about them. They go, yeah, I do that. Right. And it is kind of, you mentioned the younger generations, but you know what? Even us older dogs are really doing the same stuff. I was at a basketball game, a college basketball game the other day, and I was noticing a couple in front of me that were quite a bit older than me even, but both of them had their phones out and they were just totally engaged on social media during much of the game, and certainly any of the breaks. And I was just like, man, that was surprising to me. It's literally becoming more and more pervasive.
I know. And if you think about it, like two years ago at this point, we were all searching for ways to connect online. So how many of us downloaded a new social media platform? I know I downloaded TikTok during the pandemic, which I didn't do before. Yeah. And so many of us are trying to do that, and it's stuck with us and it's becoming a habit. So that's that pool of older generation, younger generation is all going to be on social media.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's kind of transition real quick. We came up with 5 tips and tricks for effective social commerce for your distributors. There might be a few tidbits in here for you, on the corporate side too, of how you can take these things to heart. So the first one, I'm gonna take. I put this one out here first because to me, it leverages and plays into the strength of our channel or industry. Sometimes we call it. Being authentic. And I think brands can do a much better job of being authentic with their independent sellers and influencers, as well as the influencers themselves and how they are interacting with their customer base. So I put this first bullet in here: don't bait and switch. If you don't care, don't reach out. This seems kind of interesting and maybe even idealistic, but what if you really just searched and tried to find a reason to be authentic and real and to actually care about the person that you're going to have this interaction with? We all have kind of that radar that goes off if we feel like we're being used, or if somebody's not really sincere. Our radar goes off and we're like, man, I just don't even want to hear this if I don't feel like it's real and authentic. So let's make it real and authentic and leverage that strength. So to do this, you've got to train your sellers to slow down their outreach and to speed up their sales conversions and increase conversions. They need to reach out to maybe fewer people initially and make real quality connections with them. Do a little bit of homework and think about your contact base and be more purposeful and cast maybe a smaller net, but one that's going to actually be much more effective because of the relationship equity that you've built with these people. To do this, you've got to use a system that's proven and stable. Nothing can blow up a lot of good work of creating connections and authenticity, like having a system that breaks down when they go try to move forward or make a purchase or something like that. Keep in mind the potential for future sales. Don't just sell for the first buy, sell for the future. You can do that by following up and having real conversations both before and after a purchase is made. Connect first and sell later. No faking. I'm probably beating a dead horse, and you're kind of getting into the fact that this is one of my really, really big things on social media. But I really believe that it's the area where we can stand out from the crowd, and your brand, your company. If you create an army of independent sellers that are good at this and connect with them, and then they connect with your prospects, that will pay huge dividends for your business. I think that there's a bunch of other little things we could say about this, but I think I've made the point. And we can have some offline conversations and share some additional data points around helping distributors to be trained to do that. You are going to probably have to train them. We all know this intuitively, but you've got to remind your field how to effectively engage. You've got to provide them with really good training content on this to make sure that they're continually thinking about how they can be better at authentic connections.
I fully agree. I think that's one of the things that we want to see on social. It's authenticity. It's who you are. It's the why behind what you're doing. And that also ties into the tip number 2, which is supporting the distributors, representatives, influencers for these stronger connections. We often like to think of social media as a bell curve, where you have those that are pros that know what to do. You have some in the middle that are savvy, but maybe need a little assistance, and maybe some at the tail end that need help getting started. So by supporting them, regardless of their savviness level, that's really how you're able to get these stronger connections at the end of the day. By giving them templates or company assets or ways to personalize and get started on the content, that helps ensure that they're sticking to brand guidelines and maintaining brand compliance. The automation, you want to make it as quick and effortless for maybe those that are getting started in their journey with you, to all the way up to those that are your highest ranks, and that are helping save time on this, because social media is all about putting a lot into it constantly. If you want to stay on top of the algorithms on the different social media channels, you have to be posting consistently. And if you're posting consistently, it's all that step-by-step process that gets you there. So it's also about monitoring what you get from this. So this is all about analytics and seeing individual performance. Maybe my posts aren't doing so well, so maybe I need to tweak some things, or do I need to look at my demographics and see, does it skew mainly female or male? How do I change my tone or voice or what I'm posting? So understanding the performance to take action, or maybe it's just the content's not performing, and then you can change the look and feel of it. But I think, just as Rodger said previously, the training needs to be there from the head office. And you see that still on the same vein here on the social media and social selling side. It's all about the power of building relationships, but they might need some help with social media marketing, understanding the basics, and how to naturally train that into online selling and being their authentic self here. So that's a really strong point. It's the training as well. And you can see that some organizations have already taken a step forward in their social selling journey. You see here, Mary Kay, the app connects customers with consultants and allows you to buy products and keep up with trends. And you also see Table here, the digital platform that enables consultants to host little virtual cooking parties and deliver really unique content to them. So this is a few really great examples of highlighting how to do this quickly by giving the tools to the representatives.
Right on. Another thing that we wanted to hit on this topic was that compensation strategy matters. This is something that I think we maybe take for granted a little bit. I know that a lot of companies really like their compensation plans. Some of them maybe aren't that happy with them. You as brands that have commission plans, how are you thinking about your plan in general? And is it a strategic point, or is it just kind of something that you're not really leveraging? So a couple of thoughts on this. I think that one of the things that we can all do a better job of is to remove friction to becoming an affiliate or influencer. We've had kind of historically, if you've been in this industry, there's been these really lengthy policies and procedures documents, and to sign up, I've got to put in tons of information. I have to put in my tax ID number. And as soon as every time you ask for one of those things, you're introducing a friction point. So what if we made it easier to become an affiliate or influencer, simplified the policies and procedures? Maybe it doesn't matter anymore that some of the stuff you've got in there. Some of it does, but some of it doesn't. What about not requiring a social or a tax ID number until they've earned enough money for it to actually be a thing, right? Take that friction point out. One of the examples I'd give here is a super simplified enrollment process that I've seen in one of our clients recently, is that they have the policies and procedures in a link at the bottom of the site, so it's there, and then they refer to it in a quick little enrollment page. It's a click to become an affiliate. You're agreeing to those policies and procedures, but typically, that's about all that happens. They're not requiring any tax ID number, and then they're using their payout provider. In this case, I believe it's Pay Quicker, that once they've earned that amount of $600 in the US, then they collect that tax ID number in order to receive, get paid their commission. Well, then you just pull that information back into your records and you're good to go. Great example of making it easy. I think it's a real key to getting and retaining top talent. Your comp plan is. Those you compensate are your most important asset. So you need to treat them that way. Your compensation strategy is really one of the best ways to get this done. So don't be afraid to be creative with it, but keep it within your company culture. Your compensation strategy should help build your company to more success, not just provide payouts. So one of the things that I think about here is make sure that your commission plan is really compensating the kind of behaviors that you want to drive, and that it's paying the people who are really doing the heavy lifting and the legwork of bringing you new customers and increasing your revenue. I'd recommend studying the most successful sellers and then duplicate what they do that brings success. In order to do that, you've got to get the data. You've got to know the actions that drive success, and then you got to train on them. So, our platform can help you get the data that you need, but then you've got to also make sure that you're getting those best practices documented and training. Let's see. If you haven't looked at your compensation plan in a while and reviewed your strategy there, it's probably a good time to do it, and then continue to hone it and dial it in. And also look at a little bit of what the competitors are doing and keep your thumb on the pulse of your competition's compensation strategy so you can stay competitive. Yeah, the right compensation plan will really allow you to project costs using your historical data too. So one of the things that we can do today, much easier than in the past, is you can make tweaks to your commission plan and run that against historical data, and then you can know how that would have performed based on the past. So there's a lot of tools that you can leverage today in making sure that your compensation plan is dialed in. So the last thing I'll say about this is listen to those that you're paying. What will motivate them the most? And then provide that. Be creative. It's more than just money. It could be about free product. It could be upgrades to premium services. It could be, additional tools that you deliver to them, trips, bonuses, paying for certifications if you've got that kind of a product, all kinds of different things you could consider that people value differently in terms of their compensation. So hopefully that gives you a few ideas of what you might consider going forward. Raquel, why don't you hit us on number 4?
Absolutely. So the next is probably the question that I get asked the most by the direct selling brands at the head office themselves is, all right, we know social media is important. How do I track ROI from this? What does that mean for me if we're putting X number of social media posts out there per day, per rep, etc.? So the first thing that you can do is actually attribute the revenue from the distributor's social selling initiatives. This is a really important part of being a great marketer, is to understand where people are coming from and to measure your impact. So here, the first easy way to do this, and I say easy because you can do this action right now, which is add UTM parameters to your CRM or to even the links that you're sharing on social media to understand where people are coming from. And these are just short pieces of code that you can add to these links. For example, something that you are sharing with your brand or distributor number, and you can, at the end results, you get information about the tracking, where it's placed, and the click through from that. So it's really, again, an easy thing to implement right away. This indicates the campaign source, medium, and tracking. So I definitely recommend this. And I think also what's really important is to keep your URLs clean and consistent and easy to read. So you can see there are UTM guides out there to make it really easy. And also the next important thing is to keep data and track success. So keep an eye on this and track everything in one scope, because I think data is the number one question that we get asked. And UTM is the quickest and easiest way that anyone can do something right now. And then I'll toss it back to you for number 5.
Okay, we'll just wrap up with number 5, and then we'll do a quick little recap and take some questions.
Yep.
So, technology, we've talked about digital transformation to kind of kick this whole thing off. You've got to be thinking about it. You've got to be thinking about making it easy. Less is more. And to do that, though, you've got to have pretty sophisticated technology in order to make it simple, right? And you do need to focus on making it easy, or it just doesn't get used. And that goes from e-commerce front ends to independent seller back offices. That goes on the corporate side of making it easier for our corporate customers to interact with their technology products. And listen, you've got a challenge. You direct sellers, you business owners, and people that are working in our client companies. There's a lot of technology that you've got to consider, because there's so many different touch points for technology, both on the corporate side, on the customer service side, finance, sales, your field, etc. So just try to always bring it back to simplify as much as possible. For your commission engine, you just have to make sure that you get that right. Technology has to be tried and proven. It's got to be accurate every single time, or confidence can erode. Technology should be scalable. It should be moving forward. It shouldn't just be the same stuff you had 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. So get with providers that are innovating and that are trying to solve the problems that we're facing today, which are different than what they have been in the past. I think that compensation engine has to be nails. You can't cut any corners there. And then Raquel already talked about making sure that your system does proper attribution. That is super critical. You have to have technology that does that well, so that you keep the confidence of your field sellers and influencers to feel like they can share with confidence, knowing that they're going to get the attribution that they have deserved by making those contacts and those sales. So a lot to consume, but why don't we, Raquel, why don't we have you kind of give a quick wrap up on your takeaways and what PromoRepublic is doing in some of these areas, and then we can take some questions.
Absolutely. So today, I think that we can all take away that digital transformations and social media transformations are the norm now, and are here to stay long term, and are only going to increase in our day-to-day presence as we move forward. So we're really here to help you turn your distributors or influencers into successful online sellers. And with that, we want to help you along the way minimize any compliance areas, and in turn grow revenue from this. So social commerce is really taking the best aspects of social media and getting to know one another with the online e-commerce traditions, and to get you this new medium of social commerce. So I want to thank you for having me as a co-host today. It's been really great to talk about what we do and how PromoRepublic can help with all of this. So thank you.
It's been great, Raquel, to have you here. I've really appreciated getting to know you and getting to interact with some of your team at PromoRepublic. It's been awesome. Why don't we go ahead and take a couple of questions? And Raquel, why don't you go ahead and put up that final slide? So we've got a slide here at the end. If you have interest, I'm going to do the call to action now, and then we'll do a couple of questions. If you'd like to learn more about what PromoRepublic is doing to help direct sales and influencer companies to scale their influencer channel and have more success and drive more revenue, you can hold your camera up there to that QR code and you can connect with her directly on LinkedIn. If you'd like to connect with us, you can do the same for me and just reach out on LinkedIn, and we'll get back with you very quickly. And we'd love to hear from you. So do we have a question that we could answer from the thread, or are there any other questions that have come up as we've been going through this?
So I see a question I can ask you that I see from the thread. It says from, I believe it's from Bart Dangerfield, about regarding e-commerce from a mobile platform. Can you break down the pros and cons of an app versus a mobile website?
That's a great question. So, we're seeing great success. I think if you're specifically talking around e-commerce, we see great success by just having really, really well done, simple shopping flows, great e-commerce website that is, of course, mobile responsive. So you've got to have that. And that works really, really well. We have a couple of clients that do have a consumer app to purchase. We've got a couple of clothing companies, and I think those are the only ones that actually have a shop app that their customers download, and then they are able to do the shopping there. And that one of the companies gets about 65% of their orders through that app. And they're a significant company. So do I think that you have to have a dedicated shopping app, a consumer-facing app, not a back office app? You don't need to. You can do really well with just a really good front-end e-commerce site, but it is something you might want to consider. And our e-commerce relationships with our partners here at DirectScale have the ability to bring up an app, a consumer app as well, at a very low cost. So for those do you have interest, reach out and we'll get you connected to the right people. Did you see anything else in there as you were looking?
Yeah, we have one more, which is really interesting, about the social media platforms becoming more or less friendly to supporting direct sellers, given the different issues around censorship and concerns. So I can lead with this, and then I'll pass it to you. But we do see the social media terms and conditions changing daily, not just for direct selling, but just for social media in general, as the nature of the platforms are changing. But what's really important here for the brands and representatives alike is to make sure that there's a compliance backbone in place, because the best way to make social media work for you is by ensuring that your team is trained on what to do, what not to do, but also in the event that you do have someone who's being a little bit rogue, so to speak, on what they're posting, you have the technology in place that stops them in their tracks and enables them to regroup and say something more appropriately. So I think it's all about how you post something as opposed to what specifically the social media platforms are doing.
Yeah, I think that's great insight. I'll add that this is certainly something that's not going away. Everything that we're seeing, from at least in the U.S. in terms of the FTC and scrutiny that companies in our industry are under, this is a very real issue, and it's not going to change anytime soon. So we need to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to help independent sellers to share compliant content. So the PromoRepublic tool, as well as the sharing tools that exist in our platform, at DirectScale are kind of steps in that direction, so that in a vacuum, though, if you don't put good content out for them, then you're kind of just leaving them to their own devices, and the chances of them maybe doing things or saying things that you don't want them to do go up. So you need to be empowering them with good content that is compliant, so that they have something really cool to be able to share. So I would say that would be my advice as we go forward. And then you do need to be making sure that you have compliance initiatives, and that you are following up when things aren't going right, and that you're taking necessary measures so that you can prove that you take it seriously, and that you're trying to train, you're delivering good content, and you're taking steps if those things are breached. So I think that's probably about as much time as we've got today. This actually has been a lot of fun. Raquel, thank you so much, and thank you, PromoRepublic team, for everything that you did to help bring this thing together. Shout out to Victoria and Danny for their help in bringing this off. And we will, again, scan those QR codes if you want to reach out to us directly. If you're interested in PromoRepublic, do that with Raquel's, and do it with mine to reach out to DirectScale. Thank you so much for your time, Raquel. Again, thank you. And
thank you for having me.
All the best.